Your company probably spent somewhere between $5,000 and $50,000 on AI API calls last month, and here's what nobody in the AI industry wants to tell you. Most of that money is going to tasks that could be handled by AI models small enough to run on a laptop, models that cost almost nothing. I'm not talking about toy demos. I'm talking about production-grade AI that companies in healthcare, finance, and legal are switching to right now. This is the Great Unbundling of AI, and it's the biggest shift in enterprise technology spending since companies figured out they didn't need their own data centers. Today, we're breaking down exactly when you need the giant expensive models, when a tiny model will do the same job, and how to figure out which is which. Plus, I'll tell you exactly which open source models are worth your time in 2026 and which ones are just marketing noise. Let's start with the basics. When people talk about ChatGPT or Claude, they're talking about large language models. These are massive neural networks with hundreds of billions of parameters. Think of parameters like the model's capacity to understand patterns. More parameters generally means better at complex reasoning, creative tasks, and handling situations it's never seen before. But here's the thing. Running those massive models requires serious hardware. We're talking specialized chips that cost tens of thousands of dollars, massive amounts of memory, and cooling systems. That's why most companies access these models through cloud APIs. You send your data to OpenAI or Anthropic, their servers do the heavy lifting, and you pay per token. And those costs add up fast. According to Machine Learning Mastery, processing 1 million conversations monthly costs between $15,000 and $75,000 with large language models. The same workload with small language models? $150 to $800. That's not a small difference. That's nearly 100 times cheaper. So what exactly is a small language model? The definition varies, but generally we're talking about models with fewer than 10 billion parameters. Most practical ones are between 1 and 7 billion. The key insight is that smaller doesn't mean dumber. It means focused. These models are trained or fine-tuned on specific types of tasks rather than trying to be good at everything. Think about it this way. If you need an AI to classify customer support tickets into categories, you don't need a model that can also write poetry and analyze legal contracts. You need a model that's really good at that one thing. And a focused model can often match or beat a general-purpose giant on its specialty. This brings us to what I call the Great Unbundling. For years, the AI strategy was simple. Use the biggest model you can afford for everything. That's like using a Formula One car for your grocery runs. Technically impressive, but absurdly expensive, and completely unnecessary for the task. Gartner projects that by 2027, organizations will use task-specific small language models 3 times more often than large language models. That's a massive shift in just 2 years. The companies leading this charge aren't random startups. They're in healthcare, finance, and legal. Industries where sending sensitive data to external APIs isn't just expensive, it's a compliance nightmare. Here's why. When you use a cloud API, your data leaves your building. It travels across the internet to someone else's servers. For regulated industries, that's a potential violation. On-premise small language models sidestep this entirely. Your data never leaves your infrastructure. For GDPR, HIPAA, and the new EU AI Act, that's a massive advantage. Let me give you a concrete example. Say you're running a customer support chatbot that handles 100,000 queries per day. Pretty common for a mid-sized e-commerce company. With a large language model API, you're looking at $30,000 or more per month just for that one chatbot. Every query costs money, and the costs scale linearly. With a small language model running on a single GPU server, your costs are fixed. Whether you handle 10,000 queries or 1 million, you're paying for the hardware and electricity. That's it. And there's another benefit nobody talks about: speed. Small models running locally respond in 50 to 200 milliseconds. That's noticeably faster than cloud round trips. For coding assistance, that difference is huge. When you're typing code and waiting for suggestions, a 2-second delay breaks your flow. A 100-millisecond response feels like the AI is reading your mind. Now, let's talk about what's actually available. Microsoft's Phi-4-mini is one of the most impressive options. It can run on a single PC with just 16 gigabytes of RAM. That's a regular office computer, not a specialized server, not a rack of GPUs, just the kind of machine your IT department probably already has sitting around. Other options worth knowing: Mistral's small models have strong multilingual capabilities. Meta's Llama family offers various sizes depending on your needs, and there are specialized models for specific industries. The key is matching the model to your use case. For document classification, sentiment analysis, or FAQ responses, a 3 billion parameter model often performs as well as something 50 times larger. But here's where I need to be honest with you. Small language models are not a magic solution. There are real trade-offs, and the AI industry overtypes the small model revolution just like it overhyped everything else. The biggest limitation: complex reasoning. If you need AI to analyze a dense legal contract and identify subtle implications, the small model will struggle. That's still large model territory. Same with truly creative tasks. Writing marketing copy that needs to be witty, original, and perfectly on-brand. The small models can do competent, but they rarely do brilliant. The other challenge is deployment. Running a model locally isn't as simple as signing up for an API. Someone on your team needs to understand how to set it up, maintain it, and troubleshoot when things go wrong. So here's the practical framework I recommend. Start by auditing your current AI spending. If you're paying more than $1,000 monthly for API calls, it's worth investigating small models. Look at your highest volume tasks first. What's eating the most tokens? Customer support queries, document processing, data classification. Those repetitive high-volume tasks are prime candidates for smaller models. Next, run a pilot. Pick one specific use case. Deploy a small model alongside your existing solution for 2 weeks. Measure accuracy, speed, and user satisfaction. Compare the numbers. The hybrid approach is what most smart teams end up with. Keep complex reasoning and creative work on the big cloud models. Move routine, high-volume tasks to smaller local models. This isn't all or nothing. You can migrate gradually, task by task, proving value at each step. That's how you build the business case for broader adoption. For those of you in healthcare, finance, or legal, the compliance benefits alone might justify the switch. No more worrying about where patient data or financial records are traveling. The healthcare sector in particular is moving fast. Patient interaction summaries, prescription verification, appointment scheduling, lab result classification, all tasks that small models handle well. If this is the kind of practical AI content that helps you make better decisions, consider subscribing. We cover these real-world trade-offs every week. No hype, just what actually works. Now let me address the skeptics. Yes, setting up local models requires technical knowledge, but the barriers are dropping fast. Tools like Llama let you run models with a single command. LM Studio provides a graphical interface for people who don't like terminals. The infrastructure is getting easier every month. And if you really don't want to deal with the technical side, managed platforms are emerging that handle the infrastructure while still keeping your data on-premise. Best of both worlds. The bottom line, this isn't about abandoning large language models. It's about using the right tool for each job. And for many jobs, the right tool is smaller, cheaper, and more private than you've been told. Here's your action item for this week. Calculate your actual AI API spending for the last 3 months. Break it down by use case. Identify your highest volume, lowest complexity tasks. Those low complexity, high volume tasks? That's where your potential savings live. Even migrating one task to a small model could pay for itself within a quarter. Remember, we're talking about potential savings of $50,000 or more monthly for high volume operations. That's not marketing fluff. That's math. The AI industry has a habit of making everything sound complicated, but sometimes the smartest move is the simplest one. Use less when less will do. That's the small language model story. Not a replacement for the big models, but a complement. A way to stop overpaying for tasks that don't need the enterprise option. The companies figuring this out now are building a real competitive advantage. Lower costs, faster responses, better privacy, same results. That's the kind of efficiency that compounds. Next week, we're looking at AI agents that can actually browse the web for you. What works, what's still a mess, and whether you should trust any of them with your passwords. See you then.